The Relief Trial Process Breakdown. Site Level Screening, which is Data Entry Activity 1. Arm 3 Initial Search. This is the first time you enter data into the Relief Trial database. Following the generation of the eligible patient list, we ask that this screening log is completed to capture the number of patients who are deemed eligible from the initial algorithm search, and then the number who have been sent an invitation. Please see Image 1. Patient Level Screening. Patient level screening is found in Arm 1 on the trial database. This is step 2 in the data entry process. You should record details for all patient replies which are sent back following initial contact on the trial database, which is shown in Image 2. It will ask for the patient's initials, the date the response was received at site, and if eligible, the date of the baseline appointment. If not suitable or a no reply is received, we ask that you please also add this to the screening page. Please answer no to the baseline booking question and add the reason, for example, GP decision, from the drop-down menu. Sites are required to provide site and patient level screening data, so this can be reviewed regularly by the TMG and oversight committees. Patient eligibility. The patient eligibility form is also found in Arm 2 on the trial database. Important reminder, the site GP is the only member of site staff who can complete and sign this form. The GP completes the form and signs to state the patient is eligible to enter the trial, as shown below. Please note that this must be completed prior to the baseline assessment taking place. Randomization cannot occur if the GP has not completed and signed the eligibility form. The informed consent process, face-to-face baseline assessment or wet ink. Site staff will choose the option for paper consent form when adding patient level screening data, which was shown in Image 1 and described earlier. The person taking consent must sign and date the informed consent form in the presence of the patient, for example on the same day when face-to-face. Please ensure the patient enters their initials and does not simply tick or cross any of the boxes. Patients must complete their informed consent form and add the date at the time of signing, and this should not be prepared in advance. Important note: completed paper informed consent form should be uploaded onto the REDCap database and retained as source data at site. E-consent, or the remote baseline assessment. Site staff will choose the option for e-consent when adding patient level screening as shown in Image 1 on the previous slide. Site staff will then send a link to the e-consent form directly to patient's email address or phone. The link is shown in the yellow box in Image 2. E-consent continued remote baseline assessment. When patients have completed the e-consent form, site staff will revisit the consent form on REDCap to check the form and countersign. A link to the participant's consent form will be visible for you to access and check. After the informed consent form is confirmed as correct, please click the counter-signature link, which is circled in Image 3. And this is for completion of the e-consent verification form as shown below. Remote Baseline Assessment 3. Site staff will then enter the patient contact details into REDCap, and this via the enrolment form, which is found in Arm 1, Trial Data on REDCap. Click Add New Record, and this will open below form to complete. Entering contact details will automatically send the patient their baseline questionnaires, and these are to be completed remotely when e-consent has been chosen. These must be completed prior to the baseline appointment. There's more on the patient pathway later. Other trial data entry. Arm 1 Trial Data. This is where you will complete all other trial-related data entry, including enrolment, baseline assessment, follow-ups, etc. Please note that the patient level screening, eligibility and consent form, etc., which are found in Arm 2, will need to be completed prior to entering any data into Arm 1. You will not be able to randomise or enrol the patient without first creating a screening number for them. Please note that screening numbers, for example S001-0025, differ to the participant identification numbers, for example P001-0002. Participant identification numbers are generated after they are enrolled to join the trial and prior to the baseline data entry. Please note that our two guides will also be provided at the site opening stage. The current slide shows the patient pathway. After the expression of interest is received by site, the site will enter the screening data onto REDCap and call the patient to book a baseline appointment. The site will enter the baseline data and choose face-to-face or remote on the database. The left-hand column will show you how to work through the face-to-face baseline assessment, and the right-hand column will show you the remote baseline procedure. Please note on patient records that randomised patients are in the RELIEVE clinical trial. The NCTU will document the method of site-level patient trial tracking. Face-to-face baseline assessment process in more detail. Following patient consent, please enter patient contact details onto REDCap and also complete the baseline demographics form on REDCap. Both must be completed prior to randomising the patient. The patient will complete their ACQ5, their EQ5D5L and Health Economics Resource Use questionnaires. They can be completed on paper if requested or online during the assessment, and this for the face-to-face appointment only. Site staff can enter details directly onto REDCap during the consultation, which is the quickest option. The ACQ5 and the EQ5D5L must also be completed prior to randomising the patient. The patient can complete their health economic questionnaire post-consultation on paper, if face-to-face in the waiting area if necessary. Forms must be entered onto the REDCap database by site staff the day of the baseline assessment when on paper. Retention is just as important as recruitment. Ways you can help us improve and maintain retention. Please ensure patients are aware of the importance of completing their follow-up data, completing questionnaires and attending the final clinic appointment, but only during the baseline assessment. Please explain processes clearly to them and ensure their correct contact details are recorded. Randomisation. Following the baseline data collection, the GP or a member of the site staff will randomise patients via the same study database. Patients will be randomised to either standard care, which is salbutamol plus low-dose inhaled corticosteroid inhaler, such as Clenil, or the interventional, which is as required combined inhaler containing formoterol and ICS, plus a low-dose inhaled corticosteroid inhaler again, such as Clenil. Please explain to the patient that the combined inhaler relieves asthma symptoms in the same way as salbutamol. Note that there is a maximum of 12 puffs per day for the combined inhaler as per the SMPC guidance, and a frequently asked questions sheet will be provided at the site opening stage. Follow-up assessments. Month 1, Appointment 2. Participants are contacted by telephone at month 1 by their practice team, and this is to check there are no problems with their randomised treatment. Participants are also asked if they have used 3 or more consecutive days of oral steroids for an asthma attack since starting treatment. If yes, please complete the short exacerbation form on the trial database with them. From months 2 to 11, which is primary outcome data collection, patients will receive the automated text message as detailed earlier. Patients are asked to reply yes or no. Yes replies are followed up with a short phone call as detailed earlier. Information about their asthma attack, prescriptions for corticosteroids and antibiotics if applicable will be collected. Exacerbations can occur at any time during the trial, however the number is expected to be low. For months 3, 6 and 9, please note that these are patient-facing questionnaires only. No site involvement unless paper copies are requested by the patients, but these should be sent on request only. Patients will be asked by text or email to complete their EQ 5D 5L and the Health Economics Resource Use questionnaire, and this via a direct link to the database. The NCTU will send reminder text and or emails if the patients do not respond to initial text enquiries or complete questionnaire data within the required period at each time point. There will be a month 6 compliance check. GP or the site staff will need to review the previous 6 months' medical records, and this is to collect the type and number of SABRA inhalers prescribed to each randomised patient. The details of SABRA inhalers should be added in the 6 months compliance form held within the trial database. For the month 12 assessments, there will be a medical records review. So prior to the 12 months patient appointment, the GP or site staff will need to review the previous 12 months medical records to confirm the self-reported systemic corticosteroid use. Please identify any unreported courses of corticosteroids and retrieve the type and number of all asthma inhalers prescribed. and this using the forms on the trial database. A summary table will be visible on the trial database to help with these checks. Any unreported exacerbation data will need adding into the relevant section on the trial database. The patient consultation. There is a 12-month end of trial assessment, and this can be face-to-face appointment or telephone call. You will need to ask the patient if they've had an asthma attack that needed 3 or more consecutive days of oral steroids, which is the primary outcome. If yes, please complete the 12-month exacerbation form on the trial database with them. Patients will also complete their ACQ5, the EQ5D5L, and the final Health Economic Resource Use questionnaire online or on paper if they request it. The questionnaire data will need to be entered onto the trial database by a member of the site research staff following the appointment if completed on paper by the patient.